Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another class guide for Lost Ark Western release. Today we're going to be talking about the Deadeye class, which is one of the classes that has a mirror. It is the male mirror of the Gunslinger class. And today we're going to be going over the mechanics, the play style, what you can expect from endgame, group play, and that sort of thing. It's going to keep it to a very high level, and hopefully this video helps you pick whether you're going to main the Deadeye or if it's a class that you want to play at all, and what you can, see from finally getting to soft cap and beyond. What this video won't be is an advanced guide going over the abilities, what's best, what's worst, how it fits into the meta, because honestly, the meta between the existing regions, Korea, Japan, and Russia, is disparate as it is. And then when we get the release on the Western Europe and North America, I imagine it's going to be different, and we'll see some emergent gameplay as well. So rather than cover how it's played now, we're going to be going over just what the game design is for the character, and just some general thoughts and notes on how the character fits into the game as it is right now. But first, if you have any questions or comments for me, you'll find me live every day on twitch.tv/Drybear. Who knows? I might even be streaming right now. So first, let's go over the movement. Every character has a slightly different movement ability. This is the Deadeye's. It is a pretty far distance on a longer cooldown. It's 8 seconds. Most of the movements in the game are between 5 and 10 seconds. So it's a little bit longer, but it has good distance and it's very reactive, which is nice. So that's the way that plays with there. This is the basic attack, but it depends on what weapon you have equipped. So a lot of times, most classes won't end up using their basic attack at all, but some classes do for min-max and that kind of thing. Most of the time, you'll just be using abilities. But the identity for the Deadeye is the same as the Gunslinger, in that you, instead of having a passive, you have 3 different weapons. So you can actually freely switch between these as anytime you want, and each of these weapons has a different set of abilities. Now, if you go to a handgun, most classes in the game have a bunch of abilities they can choose from in their spell book, but they can only equip 8 at a time to specify the build that they want. However, with the Gunslinger and the Deadeye, you will be able to equip separate abilities for each of your weapons. The handguns have 8 abilities, and then the rifle and the shotgun have 4. So a total of 16 abilities are equipped at one time for the Deadeye and the Gunslinger, giving you a little bit more of a skill ceiling and more options to customize and play with. But it allows you to really be more dynamic and more showy with how you use your abilities and when you switch, because the switching is pretty it's snappy. It happens very fast. I'm on the Russian client, so I have a little bit of lag, but you'll be able to do this pretty quickly during combat. Now, what differs between the Deadeye and the Gunslinger, since they have the same identity, the same passive, the same weapons, the Deadeye tends to lean a lot more towards the shotgun as their primary weapon, so they end up being closer to the target. They have more scalers that work with the shotgun, and they have better shotgun abilities, whereas the Gunslinger tends to lean more towards the rifle, which means that they'll play a little bit further away in their play style. So let's go over just kind of generally. I mean, they play exactly as you'd expect. The rifles are played at range. All the abilities you have for the rifle have long range, a little bit more of a wind-up, and you'll have some kind of precision shots there. For the Deadeye and the Gunslinger, they have 5 abilities they can choose from and 4 slots. You'll always leave 1 out, and then deciding when to use them is where it is. And they'll have more than 8 for the pistol, but then you'll be selecting 8 of those for the slot as well. For the awakenings for Deadeye, you have 2, as all classes do. This is considered your ultimate ability and has a 5-minute cooldown. You can use this in PvP and PvE, and you'll end up slotting one of them to your awakening slot for the builds that you have. So the 2 that Deadeye has, Clay Bombing is 1. It's an AoE around you. You activate it. You'll throw out some C4 or something like that, whatever that is, plastic explosives, and then you activate it and it goes around as a big AoE around. I think there's probably a good split between which one you use depending on the content you're in, just because they're both relatively useful. Bursting Flare has a lot longer windup, but it is like this. You activate it, you pull out a big gun, and you shoot 3 shots with a big, wide, rectangular spread. So it's really good at kind of keeping distance. I imagine that it is probably more reflexive for people to use this one, but the Clay Bombing can be useful as well. Especially since if you're running shotgun a lot, you switch to shotgun. You're in their face anyway, you're doing shotgun, and you can very easily switch into the AoE around you. So those are the 2 awakenings for the Deadeye. And lastly, just even though this is just supposed to be a quick overview video, I do want to talk about the class engravings for Deadeye, because I think they make a very big difference in the character, how it plays at endgame, and what they are. So every class in the game has access to engravings. There's a general set of engravings that are accessible to everyone, and they do a wide variety of things. So you'll find a lot of builds of people mixing and matching these general engravings together by getting them from your accessories, your ability stone, and then your 2 engraving slots. However, every class has 2 class engravings that are unique only to them and generally have very build defining designs to them. So the 2 that the Deadeye has, the first one is called Handgunner, and you'll hear Handgunner as a build for the Deadeye. This one has a big upside and a big downside. The Demon Hunter can only use pistols. So the Deadeye loses the ability to switch to the shotgun or to the rifle. You are forced to only use the pistols. However, when you are playing with Handgunner, the benefit you get is you get a big increase to the amount of damage the pistols do. You get, I believe it's impairment damage getting increased, and then your awakening skills get much stronger as well. So you end up running a lot faster with kind of just only handguns, and you still have 8 abilities on the handguns. You still play more like a typical class would without having to swap. It usually plays a little bit faster. I don't think it's as, it's not as preferred in most regions, but we'll see if it kind of pops up as more popular in Western release or not. But that is the first one, which will kind of specify your playstyle. But if you like the weapon swapping, you can pick Enhanced Weapon, which is the other class engraving. This one will give you a big chunk of crit chance every time you swap weapons. So unlike the Gunslinger that gets a swap to specific weapons with specific buffs, you always get a big burst of crit damage, or crit chance, which is huge, increases your damage quite a lot. And that encourages you to switch, for 9 seconds, you're getting the buff using your abilities for each weapon. You get that bonus, and then you'll switch to the next one. You'll refresh that crit chance. And it can change how you build your character as well, stat-wise. And then obviously, once you're done, you switch again. As long as you get through everything in 9 seconds, you'll have that buff up permanently, which is pretty cool. So that's the Deadeye. In PvE, very up close, kind of risky because they're squishy, but they have to play pretty close for the shotgun. In PvP, they tend to be high burst damage and a lot of stagger. You'll see a lot of stun locking from Deadeyes in PvP because they can get up on someone and just spam constant constant hitting abilities that are always giving, really good stagger hits on them. And yeah, they play from like a pretty medium to close range. They're almost like a ranged class that plays melee with how often they're using the shotgun. So hopefully this helps you understand the Deadeye and gives you a little bit more to chew on rather than just, what is the class. And let's jump to the next class. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.